Hello.
Hello, we are live. This is it. We are on awkward stream wave. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome along, everyone, to DLT and Biscuits. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is our very first stream, so whether you're watching us live or whether you're joining us later on, thank you so much for taking time out of your day just to check us out. Hopefully this is going to be quite a regular thing. We're going to try and do it every couple of weeks. But before we dive into all of that, I just think it's quite important for us to introduce ourselves. So shall we go right to left? Should we start with Stephen on the end and work our way back to me? Just who we are, kind of all of that stuff.
Hello everyone, I'm Stephen Molyneux. I work at Throston Primary School in Year 6 and as a middle level leader. I'm also an LBQ ambassador, that's Learning by Questions. It's fantastic to be part of such a wonderful group, working with other schools, collaborating with other schools as well, and having the support of many other schools and the local authority as well, which is really fantastic, taking on board where we're going, because obviously our aim is to really support schools. I'm obviously really very into digital. I'm into tablets, I'm into learning online, letting the children have a go, express themselves, because that's the only way we learn, by obviously playing around, practicing and learning from mistakes, learning from kind of ideas that didn't think would work and do work. Okay, and I think from this last year, we've taken on board that as well, which is really impressive. So I'll hand you over to, I think it's Charlotte in the middle.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. My name's Charlotte Davis and I work at Grange Primary School in Hartlepool. I am also a Year 6 teacher. I am very much interested in how technology and digital learning can support learners, not just remotely, but also in class, how we can use it to help us differentiate, to help support our additional needs, special educational needs learners, and how it can be sort of used kind of alongside your normal pens, paper, pencils, your standard sort of bread and butter of teaching, really. So that's what sort of drew me to this group. And as Stephen said, I'm really excited to be a part of it and to be working with different schools and find out what people are doing and helping where I can.
Cool. Yeah, and finally me, I'm Simon Curtin. I work at Jesmond Gardens Primary School in Hartlepool. My big thing is, aside from sort of being also a Year 6 teacher and having all of the stresses that go along with that, as well as Charlotte and Stephen, is just how technology, and in particular iPad, can really be used to engage children, infuse children, and just immerse children in their learning, making them think differently and creatively, and helping the children stop just becoming the typical jarhead where the information's poured in, and get them to become the actual creators of content, and doing that in an interesting and an innovative way possible. So as you can see, the DLT, the digital learning team, has got quite a range of experience, because we've all come from different backgrounds. We've all sort of worked in different situations, but hopefully what we've got between the three of us is the tools to try and improve and try and expand on what we already do in Hartlepool with technology. And like Stephen mentioned, that's so much more important this year than it ever has been. It's a bit of a shock, really, in terms of remote learning. It was quite a surprise how much we came to rely on it, and actually how quickly it became part of our day-to-day lives. So I wonder if we just sort of reflect on that for a second, maybe just chat about what it was like for you guys. I know that the majority of people who'll be tuning in and watching this will be either sort of technology leads, IT leads, or people who are connected to primary schools. Just from the three of us, what's the last 3-4 months been like?
I think going back even further than that, isn't it, Simon?
Well, yeah,
going back from the first lockdown is kind of where we all came from, because I think talking between ourselves, we were all at different levels, at different stages. But because we were so insular in Hartlepool, in our schools, kind of like we were just very narrow.
Yeah.
But where we've progressed from, I remember Charlotte, you saying to me that we were using Class Dojo, and that's what we used in the first lockdown, and then we evolved to Teams and really pushed Teams and went off there, where Simon's completely the different side with Apple, isn't it?
Yeah. We went with Shawby because it's just our infrastructure.
And I think for me, I started this whole process of lockdown as a year 2 teacher, which, as you guys probably know, is a completely different ballgame to being a year 6 teacher. So it's doing that first initial lockdown of, in my school, we had the beginnings of sort of an ICT infrastructure, and we'd started using Class Dojo, but we had to really upskill ourselves, our parents and our children so quickly. I mean, you're talking overnight, literally overnight. We left school on the Friday, and then by the Monday morning, everything was online, everything was on Class Dojo. So it's been a really steep learning, properly in at the deep end, like up a creek, no paddle kind of thing, which I think has been good in a way, because it has sort of forced me. I feel like sometimes ICT is one of those things, or like, using it in class is one of those things that's sort of an afterthought for a lot of people. And I'll hold my hands up and say that it was an afterthought for me. I was, it was one of those things where I thought, I'll think about that app again when I've got some headspace, or I'll look at that website again when I've got some time, and just never really found the time to do it. You sort of get stuck in a rut and a routine, don't you, with your teaching? So for me to suddenly have to go all online, and how am I going to get these 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds engaged with this and enjoying this in, a fairly deprived area where we don't have that many, lots of our children in my school don't have access to their own devices, kind of thing. So it's been a steep learning curve, one that I've enjoyed, and it's been a lot of fun, and I've found lots of different things and ideas, lots of things that I've taken from sort of the buffet table of digital learning that's out there. So I found it really interesting.
I mean, look what we've done so far, just with the three of us, how we've talked to each other and discussed things and said, have you tried this, have you tried that? And that's what this is all part of, isn't it? Just kind of sharing those ideas, because obviously, Charlotte, you with 6 and 7-year-olds, myself and Simon with 10 and 11-year-olds, but then we've got the ones younger than that who were in nursery and reception, and then the ones older than that who were 16, 17, 18-year-olds as well. So it was cheap, wasn't it? It was cheap.
It's a strange parallel, because believe it or not, during the first lockdown, when we first shut down, I was in year 2 as well.
Oh, really?
No way, really?
I had 2 years in year 2, and then in the summer was moved back up to year 6. So actually, it's a strange parallel. But that week when we heard some schools were closing and some schools were, and shops were closing, and the country was slowly grinding to a halt. I remember sitting on the Wednesday evening watching the announcement, Boris Johnson in the Commons and things, saying that, we're going to have to close schools. Just that sort of total step that we were going to take into the unknown. The Thursday I spent running around the school. I left my TA in the class. We put Peter Rabbit on for the year 2s, and I was running around copying instruction letters, how to sign into Class Dojo, how to sign into Shawby, booklets in case they didn't work, or everything, like paper work packs for kids who couldn't access. It was just crazy. And when I think back now, I think the amount of stuff that we did in that first week. If you asked me to do that next week, I'd be like, no way. But we did it, and we got through it. So it's a real testament to not just teachers, but also the way that technology can support what we do.
And also how quickly you can solve a problem as it arises. Like, I don't think, if you like you're saying, if someone would have said to us 18 months ago, 2 years ago, whatever, by the way, you're all going to suddenly have to completely rewrite the book on teaching, and completely rewrite every routine you've ever got used to in your sort of daily career. As I said, you're mental, like, not a chance. There's no way that we'll be able to do that, or there's no way that we'll be able to get a full sort of cohort of children upskilled on Teams. There's no way that I'm ever going to be able to do that. It's too complicated. And within a week, we've done it. It's that, isn't it? It's been really sort of uplifting, I think, to see the way that people have just like dug the heels in and got on with it. I think I've been really, really impressed with kids, especially.
I think staff coming together as well, isn't it? It's staff taking on board that. I mean, you're saying that first year in Thrust in the first day, it was like doing some training on dojo and things like that. Do you know what I mean? When you think back, those basics were just so important, and then helping the children get onto Zoom, because Zoom just took over then, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then getting the parents as well, because then you had to support parents, and we had so many staff phoning parents. Even the head Mark was phoning the parents, saying you need to do this to get on here and things like that. And how
in terms of staff as well, that I'm always screaming out at my school as sort of technology lead for staff meeting time, saying, "Oh, can I just share this? Can I just share this?" Normally, I get 5 minutes on a meeting where I can just go like, "This is how it works, run with it, go and explore it." But actually, particularly in the January lockdown, that first sort of week, all I was doing is just supporting staff, constantly either on the phone, either if I could get them on a Teams video call, sharing screen, teaching them how to do it. Because it was the kids actually who were the more competent at one stage than the staff. They were actually happy to sign in, working digitally, especially for Jesmond, because of our situation being a one-to-one at school. They were totally digitally fluent with accessing digital workflows. We actually had to make sure that every single member of staff was 100% confident in managing that. Not just for an afternoon, it was weekly timetables set out, you know. So yeah, it's been huge, but like you say, it's been brilliant in terms of staff CPD, because basically they've just had to get on board and use it and iron out the issues. So
and have you guys found that since this returning back from this most previous lockdown from January, has it changed your kind of practice in class very much? Are you, obviously, Simon, with your school being one-to-one iPads, you were probably pretty digitally led anyway in your lessons. I, for one, wasn't. But now it is deeply ingrained in my daily, you know, in the structure of my lessons every day. We're using netbooks every single day. Like, has it changed kind of your routines and what you do in class since this latest lockdown?
When we went into lockdown, we just received a shipment of LBQ tablets, and we'd had them for like a month, so the children were like loving them. But we used that a lot because it was an online resource that we could use, and the children enjoyed it, the parents enjoyed it. We could track them and trace them. But since we've come back, we've kind of embedded that in to the lesson, that structure, because there's so much. Because obviously it costs so much, doesn't it, to do all these different things online, and you don't just want to leave them and just let them then start de-skill themselves. Children don't become motivated. Using them and manipulating them, and I'm thinking, is it going to assess for me? Is it going to support my assessments? Am I going to engage the children? Is it going to motivate the children? Is it going to stretch the children? And if the answer is yes, then you've got to kind of use that, haven't you? Not all the time.
But from a teaching side of things as well, if it's going to cut down on workload, if it's going to support your ability to assess quickly, then you've got to do it. You know, every single staff training session I do, I say, like, always choose the best tool for the job. Just because we've got in a class of 20 kids 20 iPads, it doesn't mean that post-it note and a pencil is not the best job. You know, like, you use the best tool for the job, and if it is something digital, something like LBQ or something like Socrates or something like quizzes or something that's going to quickly assess and quickly give you feedback, then you've got to use it. You've got to go for it. You know.
And I think you've got to do for the children as well, because they're using so many applications at home that you kind of bringing those skills into school, and it's teaching them how to use them safely. Because obviously, online safety was a big issue, because you don't know what's happening outside, and obviously with things coming in with social media platforms and all these kind of issues, and the emotional well-being and the mental well-being, it all comes together, hasn't it? It's kind of like coming to a big ball of it, and you don't know where it's going to go.
And in terms of that and emotional well-being, we almost flipped, as a nation, we flipped our message on its head. From years and years of saying, you know, be careful how much screen time you have, you've got to take breaks and things. All of a sudden, we were saying, right, 4 hours a day, stare at that little bright rectangle and do some work. It was a big change, and we had to reevaluate, well, you know, was that worth the potential harm that it could have caused? So it has. It's been a crazy couple of months. It's been from technology, coordinators and from people who love tech, it's been what's the right word?
That's what I was thinking.
It's been an interesting, but also important. I think important couple of months.
Yeah.
We'll always look back on this as that point where there was no more. Oh well, my English has run over. I'll finish off my story instead of doing my computing lesson. Or I need a little bit more maths in this week. Or me paintings need finishing.
Mm-hmm.
Computing is important. And I think this last 12 months, 18 months has really, really sort of hammered that home that this is the world that we're preparing the kids for.
I think moving forward, isn't it? Yeah. Go on, sorry, Sarah, go on.
Using technology, I think before I always thought, it'd be so much extra effort to have to do all this digitally. Like, it'll take me so much more time to do it. And actually what I found is, there's so many shortcuts. I always thought, it's just easy for me to pick up a whiteboard pen and just do my guided write on the whiteboard. It's so much easier to do like that. No, not a chance. That's not how I do anything now. Everything is on my interactive whiteboard. Everything, it's all stored there. And I love the fact that I can store it there. I can save my annotations on my PowerPoint, and my kids can then access that PowerPoint, throughout the lesson to go back to certain slides. Or my teaching assistant can take a group of children and do an intervention using the lesson slides that I have just created live with the children. I'm loving all of that. So I think for me, these little hacks that have really helped my kind of work-life balance and that have really that I've upskilled myself on, I think have made a massive difference to sort of work. It's work smarter, not harder, isn't it? That's how I feel like I'm doing now.
And actually, the sort of the after effects of remote learning, even though it's still happening, just for certain families and for certain groups, just from day to day, like we were saying, what are our classrooms like now? Instead of me running around, I marked my maths books tonight before I came home. Instead of me running around tomorrow, picking up on 7 or 8 kids that I know I need to address, I filmed them a little 2-3 minute video in front of my whiteboard, just saying, right, kids, this is what you do. This is how you do it. And I've just written in their books, just watch the video on Showy. And they can have a mini teacher as a little bit of pre-learning ready for tomorrow's lesson. I can then focus on pushing my GDS or dealing with the, whatever else I've got to deal with during that lesson, being that adult, not having to have holding tasks while I deal with a little group. Yeah. It's just been absolutely, it has been, even as someone who I think, like you were saying, digital learning, digital devices are always in my lessons. I'm using them in a smarter way now because of that.
It's using that time, isn't it? Because we don't, as teachers, have time at all for anything, do we? We don't have time.
What is that?
But it's using that time, like proactively, and just thinking, right, what's going to be the best for our children? What's going to be the best way to get this across to the children, and using that and engaging them and like pushing them and moving them on, giving them confidence, because obviously for what they've gone through, it's really hard for them.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so obviously reflections on the year have been absolutely interesting, inspiring sometimes, infuriating sometimes, but we've survived and we are where we are. So going forward, the digital learning team itself, really, we are here to try and push that forward and try to really not even improve, just build upon what already happens in Hartlepool schools and schools beyond that. So that's what our role and our prerogative, really. That's what we want to try and do. We want to work with schools, work with head teachers, technology leads. When it's allowed, I mean, I'd love to go in and work with the kids. And like mix across, and actually support a little bit of team teaching with people. So
can I just add something there, Simon, as well? Can I just add something? I know we're talking about schools and things like that, and obviously we're really pushing the contact in schools, aren't we? As a group, we are really pushing the contacts, and obviously we've sent emails out, and we've now got lists. We've got a list of all the names of the contacts in schools. So if you haven't, and I'm just not as a joke or anything, but if you haven't got anything from us, just let us know, because I think we're so visible now right across so many social media platforms, and if you haven't got anything from your head teacher, go and hassle them and say, can I contact them, or get a look at the website, or look at Twitter. Okay, watch the YouTube channel, because we're trying to facilitate so much and move things around and show people lots of things. We've got external groups with support, High Tide and people like that, the PFC Trust. We've got the support of the Teaching Schools Alliance website, but we need teachers.
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do, don't we?
There's a lot of people around the town and a lot of people further afield as well who really want what we are doing to have a positive impact to the children's education and also the teachers' sort of practice as well. So yeah, like Stephen says, use us.
Get in contact.
Yeah, I'll put our contact details in the description below the video as well, as soon as the broadcast ends. But yeah, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter. Our newsletter goes out to all the Hartlepool schools every other week. There's loads of ways you can get in touch.
We're making it very, very difficult to ignore us. We are here to help.
Yeah,
please tell us what you need.
And if we don't know, we'll find out.
Yeah, and it's that sharing of practice that we've already mentioned. That's what we want. We want to be able, don't we, to have conversations with people and say, oh, do you know what? Yeah, that what you're doing sounds great. Have you thought of enhancing it by doing X, Y, and Z? And that's, I think, part of what we want to get out from these streams, isn't it? Is us coming on each week or every other week. We won't talk for 23 minutes every week about lockdown, but we want to come on and say, oh, here's this great feature in Word or PowerPoint or LBQ or Shobi or Class Dojo, like the programs that our schools are using, schools further afield than Hartlepool are using. We want to show you how to use them in your classrooms to help you, to help the children, to support, workload, well-being. That's what we kind of want to be doing, isn't it? Is those like techie hacks that we might be kind of teaching you things that you already know, but we are here, we're approachable. Please ask if you need some help with something. Please tell us what you need help with and we will figure it out and support.
Well, speaking of which, I think this week
that was good timing.
Nice segue.
Done this before.
Yeah.
This week, what we're going to focus on is, I think Charlotte's going to take the lead for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. Just talk us through some dead simple things. We're going to keep it simple this week. Just going to look at some things to do with PowerPoint. So, Charlotte, if you want to share your screen, me and Steve, just a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Okay. What I'm going to share today, I'm sure for many people will seem really, really simple, but these are things that I've kind of only just figured out since coming back off this latest lockdown. And it's just PowerPoint hacks, honestly, so simple, but have really kind of revolutionized my sort of day-to-day kind of teaching. So just bear with me whilst I share my screen. Right, I'm sincerely hoping that you can now see my screen. I think you can because of the screenception there. There's my Twitter there, just in case anybody wanted to get in touch with me, but obviously you've got the DLT Hartlepool. So I'm just going to flick through this. Honestly, this is not going to take very long and it's nothing groundbreaking, but has really, really helped me. I'm going to talk about like slide size and editing your slide size to help you make displays and worksheets using PowerPoint. I'm going to talk about reader view and split screen. I'm going to talk about how you can put timers, animated timers, into your slides. And I'm going to talk very, very quickly about animations and the clicker and also annotating on PowerPoint. So just really, really quickly, when you open up a PowerPoint, there are options to change the slide size so that, for example, just by clicking in design and then in slide size, I can click on custom slide size. And I personally like to keep things in standard just so that I know that my slides will work on any kind of computer screen that I go on. So when I've saved these onto SharePoint or emailed them to myself or put them on a USB stick or whatever, I know that if I have them on standard, then whatever kind of computer I'm going to use in school or whatever laptop I'm going to use, I'll be able to see them. But if you click on custom slide size, you can change these to A4, you can change them to A3, you can then obviously convert these to PDF, you can print them out. I'm not going to change these ones to A4, but I used this to create some like A4 size displays for my maths display. And I've been doing this a lot more recently, kind of just to make sure that my displays that are in my classroom sort of suit the needs of my children, and have also been putting on, a bit like Simon was mentioning before, QR codes to links to videos of where I've shown this method and things like that. So these are all in like an A4 slide size just by editing that. But I just thought that's like a really good hack that, you know, if you ever need it. So another thing that I have recently figured out how to do and have been really impressed with is putting timers into my slides. And really, really simply, all these I've just inserted shapes. Obviously, you can do kind of whatever shape you want for the ease. I'm just going to do a circle here. And here's my, you know, in true Blue Peter style, here's ones that I made earlier. Then what you can do is you can animate these and set a timing on them so that these can be like a visual timer for your, obviously for your learners. So for example, in English, we have been making, this was a class plan that we did for a non-chronological report, pardon me, about the Galapagos. So when I had this slide in my lesson slides, I had a timer that looked like this on the bottom of it so that the children knew exactly how long they had left. So the way to animate these, I'm going to click on animations and I'm going to just do this to get the animation pane to come out next to me here. Now you can see that I've already done these, but this is sort of how you would do it. So I'll do it on this one kind of as a sort of demonstration. So what I want this circle to do is disappear as the time runs out, so that the children know, obviously, if there's only a small wedge, they've only got a little bit of time left. And it's just, as I say, a way to have your slide up and have it in your slide. So for something circular, I'm going to search through my animations. I'm going to find the disappear ones, and I'm going to go to this one here, wheel. Okay, and that's what the animation looks like. Now, under that animation here, which is this oval 2 here, if I click underneath here and go on effect options, I can see that, you know, this is how that's going to have one spoke to sort of disappear from. If I go to timing, I can change this here to sort of any length of time that I want. It seems to like multiples of 60 for seconds the best. So for example, if you wanted to do 2 minutes, obviously you do 120 seconds. And then for this start on click, so this is if you click your mouse, but if I change this, sorry, if I click on trigger here, I can start the effect on the click of this, the oval that I've put up there. Was it oval number 2? I think it was, wasn't it? So now, if I go on like view my slide like this, when I click on this, it should start disappearing and it will take 2 minutes. So here is one that I'd made. I'll just show how, like, the animation on this one here. This is a similar kind of thing, but this is a wipe animation rather than a wheel. And then when I click on the effect timings of this one, the effect options, pardon me, of this one, I can change the direction to go from the left. So this is going to disappear from the left-hand side of the screen. So obviously the children know when you're in this red bit that that's how much time they've got left. I can't remember how many. Oh, there we go. That says 1 minute. So sometimes it changes this. So it's not actually 1 second, it is 1 minute. And this is just when I click my mouse. But if I change this to do it as the start effect on the click of the rectangle, and I'll just show you what that looks like. So this is what this one looks like. And you'll see it starts off really slowly, but then it'll start to disappear depending on how long. I mean, I've had these for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on what it is that I want them to do. I've used them in maths to say, right, you've got 60 seconds to write down as many multiples of 8 as you can, things like that. But I just thought this was kind of really useful, a great visual way of showing, you know, the children sort of how much time that they've got left. And another thing that you can do with these, you could insert a text box and, you know, say start 2 minute timer, and then you can change your trigger to be when you click. So when I go back in here and change the effect options, I can have my trigger to be when I click on start timer. So now when I click start timer, that will start that timer. So I just thought that was like a really useful hack. Okay, so then another one really, really quickly is just animations. Now, again, I don't mean to be teaching people things that they already know here, but this is something that I've never really utilized before now. And the reason being, I've started to use PowerPoint a lot more because in my class we have netbooks. So the children can actually log themselves in and go through SharePoint or through a Teams link and get into the PowerPoint themselves. So I've been using the animations a lot more, obviously, because they help with the pace and cognitive load. They make sure that our children are not overwhelmed. If I'm doing a guided reading session, for example, I don't show all the questions at once. Obviously, they can help to emphasize certain things. You can have things disappearing. And what I have found, and when I come back on to show my screen, is that having a clicker, a PowerPoint clicker, which I got, I think it was £11 from Amazon, has just made this so much easier for me to be able to kind of use the animations as I'm throughout the room. And when I stop sharing the screen, I'll just show my clicker, but it can click on to the next slide. It can help with my animations. You can also go on a blank screen. It's been brilliant. So I don't know what I ever did without one, to be completely honest with you. It also, having a clicker, makes it so much easier to annotate a slide and then click on to a new one. So for example, if this was the slide that I was working with in class, if I just hover, and I'm just using my mouse here, so you do this on your class computer, I can hover over here and get a pen. And then again, I've been using these to sort of model kind of maths calculations or whatever. I'm doing this with my mouse now, hence it looking a bit odd. I have done it with English slides where we've done some guided writing, but whatever your question is, when you then do this, sometimes I used to find it really, really difficult to then come and actually find the button that I need to click on to get onto my next slide or to get onto my sort of next animation loading like this. And that's just a bit awkward on an interactive whiteboard. But with a clicker, you don't have any of those issues because you don't have to keep coming back. You see how it was a bit glitchy there? You don't have to keep coming back to things like that. You can just use the clicker and click yourself on. So I found that really, really helpful. And again, we did this shared write. I'm on a different laptop than when I made this slide on, but we did some shared writing and kept flicking back between these two screens. We've used it in guided reading to sort of put the answers up and things like that. So I just thought, if you didn't know that those things were available, and you can keep your annotations or you can obviously discard them. For the sake of this, I'm going to discard them. But yeah, just thought that was just really quick, really simple, just easy hacks. And this is my new favorite classroom gadget, best thing ever. So you just click out the little USB thing that can go into any computer. It doesn't need any software downloading. It's amazing. Move backwards and forwards. The only trouble is that I leave this now around my classroom. So instead of going, where's my pen? I go, where's the clicker? I click on a blank screen, if I want to hide the answers or whatever. But gone are the days where I've accidentally flicked onto the wrong slide and showed all the answers before I've actually showed the questions, because this just makes it so much easier. Also, I can walk around and strategically place myself behind the chatty people in the classroom and still click my PowerPoint from there.
Love it.
I cannot recommend these enough. But I know that those are really simple, but for me, I found them.
They were great. They were great.
Brilliant.
Completely forgot to show the split screen.
Sorry,
what was that? I'm just saying I completely forgot to show reader view and split screen, which I'll do that in a future one, but that's just so that I can have like a timer up or whatever next to my screen. I'll show that next time. But yeah, just little teeny tiny hacks like that.
Time was great.
I use Keynote because I'm Apple side of things. From someone who isn't PowerPoint, I'm now going to see if Keynote does that slide thing, because the amount of time I spend making resources through Keynote to display it and then switching it over.
Yeah.
I wish meme of like that guy going, simple idea that honestly, like, I spend my life.
So visual, that isn't it? It's so visual to see the timer go down from. It's quite ingenious to go from obviously green to red, because the kids see it straight away, and it's like instead of just watching the numbers or the timer go down on a board, you can actually see it going down. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, and to the children who haven't got that concept of sort of like number or time or really visual. So that would work brilliant for the younger kids as well, wouldn't it?
And that as well is all that I did was insert a rectangle, and then within PowerPoint, when you go to, I think it's like shape format or color options or something like that, you set the gradient and you can set it to different colors. It's so easy to do, but just things that I've never really. You can also, I mean, you can sort of cheat, and if you just Google copy and paste PowerPoint timers, they do come up, but they're so easy to make yourself. Like,
upskilling yourself as well, aren't you? You're upskilling.
I've enjoyed playing about with them. I've really enjoyed playing. I think it might be nice as well to do, say, for like, I'm thinking about my next guided reading unit, like show, the cover of a book so that it's just appearing like with the checkerboard to see if they can guess what's going to happen next. Or can you, like a catchphrase kind of thing, can you tell what the lesson's going to be about today, or can you tell what our next geography topic's going to be? I just, just to hook them in. So I love the animations actually.
Oh, thanks so much for that, Charlotte. That's really, like, as I say, it's straight away. If my teacher, I'm thinking, right, well, will it do that? Can I use it in this situation? Brilliant. Exactly what we want these sessions to be like. So thanks for sharing that. So that's just about all we've got for this little first stream. What I do just want to mention is, obviously we've spoke about it already. If you're watching us on YouTube, please do click subscribe, and you'll get notifications through if you put the bell on. Just so next time we're going live, you get that notification straight away. If you're in a Hartlepool school, watch out for our newsletter. If it gets sent through to you, please just click print 2 or 3 copies, stick it on your staff room notice board, stick it on a table somewhere in the staff room. Just get chatting about it and share what we're trying to do here. And obviously, our socials, Twitter, we are on there. If you're not on there, please get yourself a little Twitter account sorted. In terms of CPD, it is probably the best form of CPD that I've had in a long time. It's just continuous, it's constructive. The education Twitter is a really supportive place, full of some really sort of like nice, creative things. So do get involved on that. We are at DLT Hartlepool, and obviously on YouTube we are Digital Learner Team Hartlepool. Our next couple of streams, we're hoping to actually have some guest speakers involved. I know we've got some people lined up from Learn My Question. I've got a colleague of mine from Jesmond who wants to come and talk about chemistry, which I'm sure will be applicable to lots of our schools. And if you are a teacher out there, or someone who works with technology in schools, please do get in touch. If you'd like to pop on and do just 5 minutes, what Charlotte's just done, share something with the rest of the community. We're just sharing examples of good practice, things that we've tried and tested, and things that we know really good. I believe our next stream is on the 6th of May. I think that's in 3 weeks' time. Are we nodding at that?
I presume so. If you're telling me that's true, then I'll be there.
I did say it was. We did say it was every fortnight, didn't we? We'd go along. So
Bye,
no, it's been an absolute pleasure. Loads and loads of fun. I feel like I learned things today, which is really, really good. So, thanks to Charlotte, thanks to Stephen, and thank you, Simon. And we'll see you in the next one. And remember, if it doesn't work, turn it off and turn it back on again. Bye.
Bye.